Yeah, I mean, if we could get past the Hawks and play Brooklyn in the oh my God, the the headlines there.
Let me put you on game.
Let's talk Knicks, man. I'm excited. You're excited because Knicks basketball is back. They are currently in fourth place in the East, and they are on is it an 8-game winning streak?
Ocho, yes, eight straight eight. Has a nice
Yeah,
ring to it. You know what I mean?
definitely does. So, how are you feeling as a Knicks fan about the season so far?
I'm feeling, pretty good. Feeling very excited about uh our effort, feeling very excited about our standing. Even with a key contributor in Mitchell Robinson not being there every night, it's like next man up, no excuse, fight hard. And it's just fun basketball. I was actually talking to a coworker, and they were telling me how they want the Knicks to tank a little bit and try to get one of these top draft picks. It's like, no, we've tanked long enough.
Not this time. Not
That
this
not
year.
this time. No. Let's enjoy this. I don't want to hear about, oh, let's build for the draft. Let's play more Frank Ntilikina or Obi Toppin. It's like, no. Let's win.
Yeah,
They-
you guys have home court advantage right now, which is crazy to think that, a Knicks team that was a lottery team for the last couple of years actually is in a position to have a home advantage in the first round of the playoffs.
yeah, I can't believe it. Like, never in my wildest dreams that I think we'd be anywhere close to where we were in that 2012 2013 season with Melo and the Knicks tape. And we're very close to that level of proficiency, and the effort that guys give on a night in night out basis is just contagious. They're fighting for each other on defense, and um you know they're making clutch 3-point shots when it matters. RJ Barrett has gotten better. Julius Randle is a lock for most improved, and a lock as well, not a lock, but in contention for an all NBA berth, as well as just an overall like excellent um MVP for the Knicks candidate. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's like a
Definitely, yeah.
league candidate, but at least as far as the Knicks go, like he's the leader. He's the bread and butter, the person that the offense runs through, and he's holding it up well. And Thibs is doing his thing. A little more
Yeah.
relaxed, a little more um of a collaborative effort. Not bringing the hammer down. Telling players, hey, maybe you guys should take a day off. You know, like, yeah, you should rest. Like, I've never heard that from a Tibbs team.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with everything. Are you seeing what are the differences you're seeing from last year to this year? Because it's been a complete changeover in terms of the management of the Knicks, and it's also been a turnover for the coaching staff. So what are you seeing as a fan that watched last year and then the years past and this year? What's the difference?
I think empowerment and accountability. Because I feel like you're seeing a organization that is not just trying to sway people with the allure of New York and the allure of money. Now it's about substance. I was reading the article, and Julius Randle, or I was listening to a podcast, and Julius Randle was saying how he sat down with Knicks management and they asked him, okay, what do you need to succeed? And he says, I need a coach that can hold me accountable. And so the fact that a player was saying that meant a lot, meaning that he hasn't been challenged in that way. And so for Thibs to come in and to hold him accountable and to get an NBA voice that can hold him accountable, and Randall taking it upon himself to be a leader and to say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm held accountable for stuff, and I'm going to work harder and work better. He got himself in better shape, and that was just infectious throughout the whole locker room. So whether it's RJ, working on his 3-point shooting to that has and which has increased his field goal percentage as well as his 3-point percentage and his free throw percentage, to other guys, really working on their game, and everyone's just coming together with the additions of Derrick Rose. Everyone is hungry. Everybody got something to prove, and everyone's really just focused on making the team better and playing for each other. There's
Yeah.
no one particular defensive stalwart on the team, but because everyone's playing for each other and holding each other accountable, the effort that you give is what makes it tough on other teams. I've
Right.
like the fact against that game against the Hornets, for I think when it was the 7th or the 6th win in a row, you have Derrick Rose closing out on what was it? I forgot if it was Graham or Terry Rozier, and blocked his
Mhm.
shot to
That was a
prevent.
crazy play. Yeah.
That was a crazy play, for making the right pass to Bullock on the baseline to beat the Pelicans, or to get us into overtime against the Pelicans, to him blocking the shot on that other play. Just shows you the overall effort that everyone is really putting in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
of course. It's been fun to watch, and I think you're getting the most, like you said, out of certain players, especially Rose. I think he's been a really great addition. He's really settled into his career as not necessarily being that MVP guy anymore, but being a valuable player on a winning team. And for me, there's so many different things that have broken right for the Knicks this year. We talked about Julius Randle, and you mentioned it, but yeah, he has probably the best argument in the league for most improved. And he's not necessarily considered an MVP candidate because the Knicks aren't a top seed, and that kind of rules players out in the minds of the pundits. But I think he is one of the most important players in the league in regards to his team's success.
mm,
And his jump from last year to this year, I should say, has been significant because he's made significant strides in shooting, and he's actually one of the best defensive players on one of the best defensive teams in the league, which is something that we really wouldn't have expected from Julius Randle at any point.
yeah,
And outside of those two things, he's also averaging 6 assists a game, which he's basically their lead playmaker.
yeah. It's because he draws so many double teams. It's really fascinating,
Yeah.
because one-on-one, he's so powerful and strong that you really can't guard him one-on-one. Him on an open space at his size and height, he just gets to
And
wherever he
skill level,
wants.
yeah.
Yeah, his skill level is very high, and so he's able to just kind of do what he wants. So the fact that, yeah, so I just love watching him play, and um his decision making is so much better now because of it.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot, and so those 6 assists is just from double teams and setting up his teammates, and that court awareness is really important and really vital to the success of the team.
Yeah. And he's also, converting and being trusted to convert late in games. And we can also talk about RJ as well. I think that RJ, as we talked about on previous podcasts, has made another leap from college to his rookie year, and from his rookie year to his second year. And he's proving that he does belong in the same conversations as those in his draft class, because I think that Zion and Ja kind of burst on the scene in their first years, even though Zion was hurt for most of it, showing the league that they are going to be able to compete at an all-star level. And RJ struggled some in his rookie year because he was 19,
Yeah,
but I think this year he's really, really made that jump in terms of his decision making. He's made a jump in terms of his defensive effort. He's improving as a scorer. I think his jump shot has improved a lot because
yeah,
he's changed his mechanics. So you can see the differences in his mechanics from last year to this year.
yeah,
And I think that RJ going down the line is going to be, I think he has the potential to be an elite scorer in the league. I think that if I had to put my money on it, I think that RJ has a really, really good chance to be a 25 point per game scorer in the league as
yeah,
he shores up his mid range. He shores up his ability to hit, catch and shoot threes, and he shores up his ability to score off the dribble from three. And I think it also shows that players aren't, you can't judge players so soon in their careers. I think that we as fans, we get stuck in this age of immediacy where we expect guys to come out of the gate firing on all cylinders, and that's not the case. Some guys, it takes them until years 3, 4, and 5 to really see what they truly are. You
Yeah.
know, I think RJ is one of those guys. I think he'll go probably from averaging, I think 18 this year, and he'll probably be a 20-point per game scorer next year, and he'll continue to rise and continue to improve.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest differences from last year to this year that I've seen with the Knicks is Tibbs. Obviously, I think that Tibbs has proven that he is a winning coach in the NBA. I think that his time in Minnesota went badly because he didn't get the buy-in from the players. But if you look at his time in Chicago and his time now in New York, when the players buy into what he's selling, it's a recipe for success. And I
Yeah.
think that you're seeing that with the Knicks right now. He's getting them to compete and to basically, like you said, there's no necessarily standout lockdown defenders on the roster, but they're competing together as a team. So the Knicks are in this position now where not only are they in the playoffs, but because of the way the East is set up, and after the first 3 teams, there's a bit of a drop off in terms of quality and in terms of talent. The Knicks are in this position now where they could possibly play a team like the Hawks in the first round. So I wanted to ask you, how are you feeling about the Knicks' chances to actually advance in the playoffs this year?
So I think it'll be really tough. What they say about the playoffs is that the game gets slowed down and your biggest flaws are exposed. When I look at the Hawks, they're a really dangerous team because despite the fact that we beat them by 10 points to extend the winning streak to 8 games, Trae Young wasn't there for the second half of the game. And so that kind of allowed us to get back into the driver's seat of the game. And that's what you want to see. As a good, solid team, you want to see the ability of a team to take advantage of teams' weaknesses. If your best player goes out, we should win that game if you're a competent enough team. And so that's a really relieving thing to see. Now, if Trae Young is there, can we get that same kind of support and beat a team that has so many offensive options and a player like Clint Capella that is just a rebounding machine? And he could really give us fits on the offensive glass as well as on the defensive rebounding side. And are we going to be able to outscore the Hawks every night? The game, we put up 137, but everybody was basically having a career night. Hawks weren't playing the best D, but our shots were falling, and so it helps. So us being able to get past the Hawks is going to be a real challenge. I think we are the favorite. That's like a Knicks in 6 probability, if I were to call it, but it would definitely be tough. Yeah. How about you? What do you think?
I think in that particular series, I would have the Knicks winning in 6 or 7. I probably lean towards 7, depending on how Trae Young plays. I think that we've never seen him in a playoff situation, and he is extremely ball dominant. So sometimes in the playoffs, that can come back to bite you in the butt. When you're thinking about like a James Harden, where if one player is monopolizing the ball, it may or may not work out to their advantage, especially when you consider, Trae Young is like my height or shorter, so it's really, really tough for players of that size to compete in the playoffs a lot of times. But, you also see it in terms of ball dominance. You see it with guys like Luka, where, he's still unstoppable, regardless, even if he's coming and he's coming at, 3 miles an hour, but he's still able to impose his will. So we'll have to see. But I think that this is a really good year, and this is a really good chance for the Knicks to actually advance, because there's certain teams like a Boston or Toronto that are underachieving. So I think that next year you could see a lot of teams make a jump in the standings, and it may make it harder for them to make the second round, depending on what they do over the summer. But I think that this year is a really, really good chance for them to get that, battle for New York in the second round. And I'm hoping to see it.
Yeah, I mean, if we could get past the Hawks and play Brooklyn in the oh my God, the the headlines there, and if Brooklyn has all three of their juggernauts, I don't know what chance the Knicks have to win, but it will still be an interesting series to watch. And you know that we're gonna bring it every night, and there's not gonna
Yeah,
be a night off, you know. And I
right.
have to get tickets if that's the case.
you
Like if
you have to for me. I'll
I,
probably just pay. I'll pay for a ticket so you can leave an empty seat next to you so I can be there and spit. but
yeah,
but
I get a cardboard cutout. Make sure you're right there.
yeah. It'll be great. I'm definitely hoping for it. And it'll be great for the team and it'll be great for players like RJ to actually get real deep playoff experience so he can continue to improve and ascend as a player.